Legal concepts could be debated for hours on end, and that is why I am here to discuss three very controversial topics. I want to start by asking the question, what should be used to create effective laws in a fair society? I strongly believe that we should be using consequentialist moral reasoning in law, reason over emotion in law, and finally, why national security is a major threat. Consequentialist moral reasoning should and must be the only way we can create laws. To begin, I should explain the difference between consequentialist moral reasoning and categorical moral reasoning. On one hand, consequentialist moral reasoning means that we should make laws off the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. And on the other hand, the simple answer for categorical moral reasoning is treating others the way you want to be treated. Here are 4 reasons on why consequential moral reasoning is better for a fair society. 1, it saves the most amount of people. And 2, it relates to a case that we've already studied, R.V. Dudley and Stevens, where we sacrificed only one sailor to save 3 sailors with families back home. R.V. Dudley and Stevens was an example with a small amount of people, but we need to put into perspective if there's a mass amount of people involved and what should be morally correct. It may not be ethically correct to sacrifice a human, but we need to think about the best possible outcome when creating laws. I truly believe benefiting the most amount of people in society is what makes it the most fair. For my second concept, I'm going to be stating why we should be using reason and law in trials rather than emotion, which relates back to my first point on why we should use consequentialist moral reasoning over categorical moral reasoning. Creating laws and basing trials off of reason positively affects society because it's basically just in the wording itself. Reason. Let's put it into perspective using emotion over reason in law. If we use emotion in law, there's chances of there being bias, but rather if we were to use reason, there will be judicial impartiality, which means that objective criteria is taken into perspective before bias when making decisions. Now, if we were to base laws and trials off of emotion rather than reason, there would be no proper procedure to identify what is emotionally correct. Basically, what I mean by this is that there's no proper guideline for emotion for a jury to decide the verdict. My third legal concept is that national security is a major threat to Canada. Now, there are 3 examples that officially make national security a major threat. The first one is called the Stingray. Stingrays are devices that act as cell phone towers that can track anyone in the country's moves and voices. Moreover, this tracking leads to something called the chilling effect. This essentially alters freedom of expression as people have fear of being listened to. To conclude, national security is 100% an invasion of every human's privacy, which is ineffective in creating a fair society. All in all, I believe that I have demonstrated why we should be using consequentialist moral reasoning to make laws. We should also be using reason over emotion in law and trials, and finally, why national security is a major threat. It is very important to address these legal debates for future reference and so that they can be set as precedents. Thank you for listening to my rant, and I hope I've proved why my opinions make a fair society.